Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the latest edition of the World Report. I'm Scott Crowfoot. On today's show, 18 trillion and counting, Saudi Arabia's petro war, earthquakes and fracking. ISIS claims to have a dirty bomb as Pope Francis equates Christians with Islamic jihadis. Our history segment and predictions for 2015 are all on tap today. But now to our top stories. Are we being pushed into a civil war? As this administration ratchets up the war on police, President Obama is to shut down the government if Republicans do not fund his executive amnesty. So many crises from day to day, we've already forgotten about the admission of the Obamacare scam on America, while our biggest scandal may be the lapdog-controlled media. Joining us to delve right into the deep water is the World Report senior advisor and economics blogger for USA Today Online, Maury Beschloss. Maury, $18 trillion, and we're racing towards 20. No one seems to be doing anything about stopping this. Every day it's a new crisis. What are we going to do about our finances?
First of all, this whole thing is a joke. Congress is supposed to be the one that delivers the money.
The purse strings. The power of the purse.
Well, what's happened is, and God, I always go back to my German experience. When Hitler came in, they had a parliament, and each parliamentarian and each parliamentarian group had a responsibility. They were gone in about, of course, he burned down the Reichstag in order to use the force of his office and to take over. But the point is, what we have here is something similar. This president now can do whatever he wants, and I am going to make a prediction that in the next 2 years, this Congress is going to do nothing, because he will veto anything that comes down the pike. Everybody was so excited about the midterm election, got probably 54, 55 senators.
I wouldn't say everyone was excited, but some people were.
No, come on. The majority of the people were excited by the intensity of the victory, which also included legislative chambers, governors. You look at the country today, 2/3 of the country, maybe 3/4, at the root level are Republicans.
The Senate seat in Alaska just flipped, and it's about to go down in Louisiana. Landrieu is going to lose as well, and Bill Cassidy is probably going to take that seat.
Oh, without a doubt. But my point is, it isn't going to make any difference. What's going to happen? They will send things. Now they can send things from the House to the Senate. The Senate will approve what the House came up with, both being Republican dominated, and then it's going to be vetoed by the president.
But then that flies in the face of what they've been saying all this time, that it's a do-nothing Congress. It'll be a do-nothing president, correct?
No, but you see, I go back to the Truman days. He had the same thing. We had a Republican Congress in 1946 after 14 years of the Roosevelt administration. And then people said, now the Republicans are going to come in and start cleaning up things. We're going to get away from all the socialism. And they passed all kind of laws, but Truman vetoed everything. And then he blamed it all on a do-nothing Congress. And that's exactly what Obama's going to do. He's going to veto everything. And he says the reason we didn't get anything done is because the Congress never got anything of any consequence.
Because the Congress didn't do what he wanted them to do.
Yes, but you're being rational. People are not rational. They don't remember 24 hours after what happened. And so he's going to go back. Whoever's going to be the candidate in 2016, he's going to talk about how the Congress, which was elected in 2014, did not do its job because there was no basic initiatives of any consequence that came out of Congress.
Now, you mentioned the power of the purse. If the new Congress that gets settled in March and February, if they really want to stop this agenda, they can hold back the money. Am I right?
No, you're wrong. I'm sorry. We had that problem before. There was, then we stopped the government, and then the Republicans got their nose bloodied for holding back money.
But that was a year ago, and they just had a legislative sweep, so they really didn't get their nose bloodied. If you look at the electorate.
Well, yeah, but that was because Obama has degenerated to the point where even his followers, or a lot of followers, aren't backing him up anymore. I'm saying that he's going to use his veto power and also the power of the pen and the telephone. He's going to push things through. He's going to start with the immigration, and then he's going to get into climate control. He's given the EPA now all kind of powers. You talked about 24,000 regulations that were passed on the night of Thanksgiving. You're going to see a dictatorial country in the next couple of years. They're not going to call it that, but in effect, it's going to be, because the biggest flaw in the American Constitution is the impeachment process. It's a no chance thing, because first of all, you can indict in the House. By a majority, you can indict a president, but then you go to the Senate and it takes two-thirds. Impossible.
Right. So we're looking at 67 senators.
That's not going to happen.
I don't think that politically that's a good move anyways, to even think about doing that.
No, I understand that, but you're talking about holding back money. This man is so clever. He's always found ways. Remember the sequestration thing 2 years ago? It was a trade-off. We would cut back certain agencies. We'd cut back part of it. All came out of the military. All the money that was cut back, so that our budget deficit actually went for the first 4 years, it was over $1 trillion. Then in the last couple of years, this past fiscal year, which ended September 30th, was somewhere around 560 billion. So the thing is, it's been down, but it was all cut out of the military. None of the agencies of the Obama administration have been cut back. If anything, they've been inflated.
Absolutely, and if you ask them, they'll tell you that there's not one agency or one place where they could cut one dime. It's all vital to the American interest.
This man has lied on every issue that ever came up. I mean, it's almost like I don't even know if he knows that he's lying. He just tells untruth.
Well,
So
when you're reading a teleprompter, you're not really sure what you're reading. You just come off and just like
but
an actor.
Even so, he has his basic. He's gone a long way toward bringing this country down in the social relationship. We've got more racial antipathy in this country today than we've had in 50 years. It's very unfortunate. We were making huge progress in that. I don't only mean Jackie Robinson in baseball, but in all facets of our government.
Well, we've spent trillions of dollars since the 60s on the war on poverty, on Pell Grants, on home affordable refinancing, and we've done all kinds of things to try and raise minorities and people of color.
War on poverty. Lyndon Johnson did some terrible things. I mean, first of all, the Vietnam War was a useless war. We were trying to prop up a major personality, not a king, but a dictator in Vietnam. He went into that war to prove that he was not going to be soft on communism. But on top of that, all the things that he passed, including the war on poverty, have cost us billions of dollars. You go back to the inflationary spiral of the mid-century, in the 20th century. They started with Johnson at big time. He's the guy that got the thing going. And Nixon actually got tagged with it, but Nixon actually did more good things. I'm not a big fan of Nixon, but first of all, he had a good understanding of foreign policy, and he did try to slow down some of the things that Johnson started. But now it's out of hand, and you're absolutely right. This $18 trillion, what is saving the $18 trillion debt that we have in this country? The energy development. And now the energy development is in trouble because of what we're going to be talking about later, the Saudi war on fracking.
Okay, we only have a couple minutes left here. Crisis after crisis. I believe in my heart that the administration is trying to fan up the racial tension in the country, partly because they don't want us looking at everything else, like the deficit, like the debt, like the Obamacare scam that was just unveiled within the last 30 days.
It's a deviation.
We know that these people lied and deviously misled the American people on cost, on effectiveness, to pass the biggest piece of legislation in 50 years, Obamacare. And the costs are skyrocketing. Are they going to push us into a racial war?
I don't think so. I think we've already got a schism that's widening between people of color and the white people in this country, which it was really pretty much erased. I would say you go back to the turn of the century, there were opportunities for all people, and just like the war on sex and the
war on women,
the war on sexism, I guess, and all these things. But he was reelected because the stupidity of the Republican Party with their 23 candidates and this idiot that they had as a basic
and doing 20 debates.
Well,
and having all left-wing media people do the debates, and on and on and on. We've just had Amnesty pass for about $5 million. It's not going to stop there. It's going to continue.
Of course not.
Who's going to pay for this?
I'm telling you, the one big thing we had going in this country was energy development. We got to the point where we used to be importing 10 to 12 million barrels a day of oil. We got down to about 3 to 4 million barrels a day. That's how much advance we've made. But now with this war on pricing, which is supposed to stop fracking, which we'll be getting into, I don't know how much that's going to carry weight. And the Exxon oil pipeline was all part of it. There is an absolute war on energy focused on by the government.
There's a war on the American people. That's what's going on.
Well, let's say it's a war on the American way of life.
And there's a war on police, which I'm a little bit disgusted with right now.
Well, I'm a lot disgusted about it because the only thing that stands between us and
the wild west,
total mayhem. The smartest move I ever made in the last few years is moving out here. At least here we go with a fairly peaceful area. God, to me, the whole idea of going back to Chicago, where I spent 45 years, I wouldn't go there if you put a gun to my head.
Because people are too busy drinking and golfing to cause any problems out here.
Well, that's okay.
We need to step away for a brief moment. We will return with our economic update, global outlook, and the moment in history. If you want to watch the show, catch any of our segments, it's simple, it's free. Just log on to our website, theworldreport.org. When you're there, remember to like us and recommend us and leave comments. For the latest news updates, visit newsmax.com or watch Newsmax on DirecTV Channel 349, Dish 223.